The plains do not belong to anyone. They are occupied temporarily. As daylight fades, the open grasslands become a shifting map of claims and challenges. Every predator moving across this space understands one rule above all others: nothing here is permanent. A lone lioness advances slowly toward the remains of a recent kill. The carcass is stripped unevenly, evidence that time has already worked against her. What remains is not abundance, it is leverage. She pauses before stepping closer. Her body language is controlled, deliberate. No unnecessary movement, no wasted effort. This is not hunger alone guiding her forward, but necessity. Across the plain, shapes emerge in loose formation. They do not rush. They do not announce themselves. Hyenas. They appear one by one, spreading outward rather than clustering together. Distance is their shield. Numbers are their insurance. The lioness notices immediately. She lifts her head, fixing her stare on the closest figure. Her presence is unmistakable. Power radiates from her stance, built on generations of dominance. For a moment it works. The nearest hyenas slow. Their advance falters. They reassess. But hesitation does not mean retreat. Hyenas are opportunists, not fools. They understand the difference between threat and limit. They test boundaries rather than crossing them outright. The lioness steps forward, claiming space inch by inch. Her tail flicks sharply, signaling irritation rather than fear. She growls low, a warning meant to travel through the ground. The hyenas respond by spreading wider. This is not confrontation, it is encroachment. Each hyena positions itself just close enough to apply pressure, yet far enough to escape instantly. Their movements are small, almost casual, but they are intentional. The lioness lunges without warning. Dust erupts beneath her weight as she charges the nearest target. The hyena bolts away, at the last second vanishing into the grass with practiced ease. The lioness stops abruptly. She does not chase. Chasing would waste energy. And energy is currency here. Behind her, the hyenas reappear, closer this time. They have learned something important. She will not commit fully. The air tightens with tension. No blows have landed. No blood has been drawn. Yet the conflict has already begun. The carcass between them becomes secondary. It is no longer food. It is a reason to remain engaged. The lioness circles it slowly, never turning her back completely. Her ears pivot, constantly tracking movement beyond her immediate vision. She knows this pattern. Hyenas do not aim to overpower. They aim to exhaust. Time stretches. The sky darkens further. Shadows grow longer and more deceptive. Each minute spent guarding the carcass drains the lioness. Each minute spent waiting strengthens the hyena's position. The hyenas edge closer again, advancing in staggered steps. No single individual commits. Collectively, they press forward. The lioness snaps at empty air, her jaws closing inches from a muzzle. The message is clear, but the response is telling. The hyenas do not scatter far. They pause, then resume. This is not fear, it is evaluation. The lioness realizes what is happening. She is being measured. Her reactions, her timing, her willingness to escalate. The plains remain quiet, but the silence is deceptive. Every movement is a negotiation. As darkness settles fully, the balance begins to shift, not because strength has diminished, but because space has been contested long enough to invite challenge. The first phase is complete. What comes next will decide whether this remains posturing or becomes something far more costly. Night changes the rules. Visibility drops. Distance collapses. Mistakes become harder to recover from. Under the cover of darkness, the hyenas close ranks. Their spacing tightens, their movements more synchronized. What was once loose observation becomes coordinated advance. The lioness senses the shift immediately. Her posture stiffens. Her head stays low now, chin forward, eyes locked on the closest threats. She pivots constantly, attempting to maintain awareness on all sides. She cannot. That is the advantage of proximity. One hyena steps closer than the rest, pushing into the edge of her reaction range. The lioness lashes out with a fast, controlled swipe. The hyena dodges, barely. The contact does not land, but the exchange matters. It reveals timing. It reveals reach. The hyenas respond with confidence. They do not rush her. They compress the space around her. The lioness growls, a deep sound meant to reassert authority. For a brief moment, the advance slows. Then it resumes, this time from multiple angles. The hyenas dart forward in short bursts, retreating just as quickly. They are not attacking. They are interrupting. Each interruption forces the lioness to turn. Each turn costs energy. Each moment of divided focus increases risk. The carcass lies forgotten behind her. The conflict has moved beyond food. The lioness charges again more aggressively this time. She commits, further forcing several hyenas to scatter wide. The ground trembles beneath her weight. For a second the space opens, then it collapses again. The hyenas return faster than before. They have adjusted. This time one approaches from behind. The lioness spins, snapping her jaws shut just in time to avoid contact. The near miss sends a sharp message through her nervous system. The margin for error is shrinking. Breathing harder now, she slows her movements. Her reactions remain powerful, but no longer explosive. The hyenas sense this immediately. They step closer, not all at once, just enough. The pressure intensifies. The lioness faces a narrowing set of choices. Continue asserting control and risk injury, or disengage and preserve herself. Hyenas thrive in this moment, when the strength must decide whether it can afford pride. One hyena lunges toward the carcass, testing her priorities. The lioness reacts instinctively, turning to defend it. That turn costs her. Another hyena snaps toward her flank, grazing fur, but not flesh. The contact is minimal, yet decisive. The message is delivered. This is no longer a standoff. This is escalation. The lioness roars, but the sound lacks its earlier certainty. It is not weakness. It is calculation catching up. The hyenas advance again, their confidence no longer tentative. They have crossed an invisible threshold, not toward violence, but toward control. The lioness backs away slowly, keeping her eyes on the nearest threats. Her steps are careful, deliberate. This retreat is not panic. It is strategy. The hyenas follow, but do not pursue recklessly. They move just enough to claim the space she relinquishes. The carcass is theirs now. As the lioness fades into the darkness, the hyenas tighten around their prize. Their movements relax. Their posture shifts. The confrontation ends without bloodshed, but not without consequence. The plains settle once more. The second phase concludes. What remains is not victory, but positioning. And in the wild, positioning determines everything. The plains do not erupt into chaos. They tighten. With the carcass now claimed, the hyenas reorganize themselves with practiced efficiency. Some feed quickly, tearing and swallowing with urgency. Others remain alert, positioned outward, scanning for movement in the darkness. This division of roles is not accidental. It is the result of survival refined over time. At the edge of the clearing, the lioness does not disappear entirely. She lingers. Her retreat has created distance, but not disengagement. Distance allows thought, and thought in the wild can be as valuable as strength. She lowers herself into the grass, muscles coiled but resting. Her breathing steadies, each inhale measured. The earlier intensity has drained her reserves, but not her awareness. From here she watches. The hyenas are calmer now. Their posture has shifted from tension to control. They move with confidence, but not carelessness. This matters. Confidence often carries seeds of vulnerability. The lioness waits, her eyes tracing patterns rather than individuals. She is no longer reacting, she is assessing. Predators that survive long enough learn this distinction. Minutes pass. The night stretches heavy and still. The hyenas rotate positions again, some stepping back, while others take their place. No single animal stays exposed for long. The formation adapts continuously. The lioness recognizes the truth in front of her. This group is not impulsive. They will not fracture easily. Any attempt to force control back now would require commitment beyond what her body can afford. A single misstep could mean injury. An injury would not end tonight. It would echo into future hunts. The cost-benefit calculation becomes unavoidable. The lioness rises slowly, careful not to signal aggression. Her movement is deliberate, almost neutral. She is not challenging. She is redefining boundaries. By increasing distance, she reduces immediate pressure. By refusing to re-engage, she denies the hyenas the escalation they might exploit. The hyenas notice. Their heads lift. Feeding slows momentarily. They watch her reposition. When she does not return, they resume feeding. The message is clear on both sides. The threshold has been crossed, and not in her favor. This is not failure. It is consequence. Predators do not win every encounter. They survive by understanding which encounters are worth winning. The lioness turns away fully now, her silhouette dissolving into the darkness beyond the clearing. Her departure is unchallenged. The hyenas do not pursue. There is no need. They have achieved what matters: control of space. As the feeding continues, the energy of the group stabilizes. The night no longer feels volatile. The risk has been managed. Elsewhere, the savanna absorbs the outcome without ceremony. Grass settles. Scents linger briefly, then fade. The encounter leaves no dramatic marker, no body, no visible injury. But it leaves an imprint. The lioness will carry this moment forward. Her approach to similar situations will change. Her tolerance for pressure will be recalibrated. The hyenas too adjust. Their confidence grows not recklessly, but incrementally. This is how dominance shifts in nature. Not through decisive victories, but through accumulated outcomes. The threshold has been crossed. What follows is not confrontation, but adaptation. Morning reveals what darkness concealed. The clearing where the confrontation unfolded looks ordinary now. Flattened grass, scattered remains, faint tracks crisscrossing the soil. There is no obvious sign of struggle. Yet the land tells a story to those who know how to read it. The hyenas have moved on early. What remained of the carcass has been stripped clean. Efficiency leaves little evidence. Their departure is purposeful, not hurried. They carry with them the benefit of success, energy restored, confidence reinforced. This outcome will influence future decisions. Hyenas that experience effective coordination become more willing to apply pressure again. They recognize patterns that work. They repeat them. Elsewhere, the lioness moves through open ground under the rising sun. Her pace is steady but restrained. She is conserving energy, not chasing opportunity prematurely. Hunger sharpens her senses, but it does not dictate her actions. Experience tempers urgency. She skirts the edges of grazing herds, reading body language rather than committing. The memory of the night's pressure remains active in her nervous system. This is not fear. It is information. Adaptation begins here. Predators who ignore information do not last long. The lioness adjusts her strategy subtly. She favors open sightlines over enclosed spaces. She avoids areas where numbers can accumulate unnoticed. Her behavior shifts not dramatically, but meaningfully. These adjustments are invisible to most observers, yet they determine survival over weeks and months. The savanna itself responds in parallel. Herbivores alter their movement patterns, responding to the increased activity of predators overnight. Scavengers arrive later, picking through remnants that remain. Every action ripples outward. The night's encounter becomes part of a larger system of cause and response. No species exists in isolation. The hyenas regrouped elsewhere demonstrate similar adaptation. Their spacing remains deliberate. Their communication frequent. They do not relax entirely. Success does not eliminate risk, it reshapes it. Another lion, another predator, another test. They prepare without knowing when it will come. This mutual adjustment is what maintains equilibrium across the plains. No predator grows unchecked. No strategy remains dominant forever. Change is constant. The lioness pauses beneath the shade of a lone tree, lowering herself carefully. Her body recovers incrementally. Energy returns slowly. She has not failed. She has endured. The distinction matters. Survival in the wild is not measured by possession. It is measured by continuity, by reaching the next hunt intact, by avoiding injuries that turn temporary loss into permanent decline. The night's outcome has narrowed some options, but preserved others. That trade defines adaptation. As the day advances, the savanna resumes its rhythm. Movement replaces tension. Sound replaces silence. The confrontation dissolves into memory, but its influence remains embedded in behavior. This is the shape of adaptation, not dramatic transformation, but incremental change driven by consequence. The plains continue to function as they always have, not as a battlefield, but as a system. And within that system, survival belongs not to those who dominate once, but to those who adjust continuously. One encounter does not end when the participants separate. Its influence stretches forward, shaping decisions that may appear unrelated at first glance. The night when pressure shifted is now embedded within instinct. For the hyenas, the success reinforces a principle they already understand: numbers change outcomes. Their coordination during the confrontation was not perfect, but it was effective. Effectiveness, not dominance, is what predators remember. In the days that follow, their behavior reflects this lesson. They test boundaries more frequently, not recklessly, but deliberately. They linger longer near contested resources. They approach carcasses with increased confidence, forming tighter defensive arcs. Each small action carries the imprint of the night's result. The savanna responds in kind. Other scavengers observe from a distance, adjusting their timing. They wait longer before approaching, recognizing the elevated cohesion within the group. Power in nature is often communicated indirectly. The lioness, meanwhile, operates under a different recalibration. Her body has recovered enough to hunt again, but her decisions are filtered through recent experience. She does not avoid conflict entirely. She refines when and where it occurs. She hunts earlier. She selects prey closer to cover. She prioritizes kills that can be consumed quickly or relocated. These are not signs of weakness. They are signs of efficiency under constraint. The memory of resistance changes her margin for error. She does not linger when uncertainty rises. She disengages sooner when numbers appear. Each withdrawal preserves energy. Each preserved energy increases survival odds. The difference between extinction and persistence often lies here in restraint. Other lions within overlapping territories sense subtle changes. Territorial markers shift. Movement patterns overlap less frequently. The ecosystem absorbs these adjustments without pause. Nothing stops. Nothing waits. Predators that adapt coexist in constant negotiation, not through treaties, but through repeated encounters that define invisible borders. The hyenas test one such border days later. They approach a fresh kill made by another lion, not the same individual. The response is immediate and forceful. This lion is less isolated. Support arrives. The hyenas retreat quickly. They do not challenge every situation equally. They select based on probability. This too is adaptation. The earlier success does not create arrogance, it sharpens judgment. Success teaches where pressure works and where it fails. The lioness encounters the group again weeks later from a distance. She does not approach. Neither do they. Recognition flows both ways. They have learned each other's thresholds. The savanna holds these memories quietly, not as stories, but as altered behavior. The long shadow of a single night extends across multiple lives, influencing interactions that will never be directly connected. This is how the wild records history, not in landmarks, but in choices. Balance in the wild is often mistaken for calm. In reality, balance is tension managed continuously. Every predator exists within limits, shaped by energy, injury risk, and competition. No species escapes this constraint. The lioness remains a dominant hunter. Her strength has not diminished. Her presence still alters the movement of prey. But dominance is situational. It expands and contracts based on context. The hyenas continue to function as a unit, relying on collective pressure rather than individual force. Their success depends on cohesion, not confrontation. Neither strategy invalidates the other. They coexist because neither can eliminate the other without unacceptable cost. This mutual limitation sustains balance. The savanna, vast and open, enforces these rules without intervention. Space reduces escalation. Distance restores equilibrium. Encounters become rarer, not because tension disappears, but because both sides recognize the price of repetition. The lioness invests more heavily in stealth. She times her hunts with greater precision. She minimizes exposure. The hyenas refine communication. They react faster to subtle cues. They avoid unnecessary pursuits. Each species narrows its risk profile. This is not peace, it is optimization. Balance holds because adaptation continues on both sides. When drought arrives later in the season, pressure increases again. Resources tighten. Encounters become unavoidable. Yet even then the lessons remain active. The lioness avoids prolonged engagement. The hyenas test only when numbers favor them decisively. Neither forgets. The ecosystem bends without breaking. Young animals observe these interactions, imprinting patterns. They will replicate. Behavior passes forward without instruction. This is inheritance without genetics. The savanna persists not because conflict ends, but because it is regulated by consequence. Every challenge teaches restraint. Every loss defines boundaries. The night that began with tension and ended in withdrawal did not disrupt the system. It reinforced it. Balance holds not through victory, but through mutual understanding of limits. And in that understanding, life continues quietly, relentlessly, adaptively. The savanna does not choose sides. It permits survival and withdraws permission without warning. What happened between predator and rival was not a turning point for the land. It was a correction. Pressure rose, limits were tested, boundaries were redrawn. Nothing more. Tomorrow hunger will return. So will movement, so will risk. No memory lingers in the grass. Only patterns that repeat until they fail. Those who adjust endure. Those who hesitate disappear. And as long as the land continues to allow life, the struggle will never end. It will only change shape.